That's good stuff. I know, I'm late. I'm sorry. Okay, I know you don't accept late midterms, and trust me, I don't want to turn this midterm in late either. Hopefully you can tell by my nasally ass, congested ass voice that I am actually sick despite not having a doctor's note. I'm gonna be talking to you about The Big Bang Theory because I like it and you'll like it too after I'm done. Okay, let's get down to the basics. This show was a classic 30-minute scripted American sitcom with an average runtime of 22 minutes so that 8 minutes of it could be used for advertisements. It was a 3-camera setup. It was aired on CBS. It was made in California by the production company Warner Brothers. It was made by Chuck Lorre and Bill Prady, although there are a bunch of other names here, so I'm just gonna read them real quick. Lee Aronson, Steve Morales, Eric Copland, Maria Ferrari, Dave Godich, and Steve Holland. Now, Chuck Lorre did a bunch of other shows. 2.5 Men and Young Sheldon are his most famous ones, along with a bunch of other ones. And Bill Prady made The Muppets. So how did the show originate? Well, I'm not entirely sure. Chuck Lorre did work on 2.5 Men, so he did have success making sitcoms, and Bill Prady had nothing really by the time that this show was coming out. I think it was just one of those pitches that just happened to go well, and it turned into a TV show. Now, in terms of the cast, it's actually pretty good. We have Jim Parsons playing Sheldon. We have Kaylee Cuoco playing Penny. We have Johnny Galecki as Leonard, Simon Hefberg as Howard, Mayim Bialik as Amy, Kunal Nayyar as Raj, and Melissa Rauch as Bernadette. Now, before this, the cast didn't really do anything special. This was kind of just a fresh start for all of the actors. But the show became a big success after it was started in 2007. The show ran for 12 seasons, which is 12 years. It had 55 Emmy nominations with 10 Emmy wins. And during the last 2 episodes of The Big Bang Theory, the show garnered 18 million views with a 3.1 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. Now, I'm not entirely sure what this demographic means, but if I've read it correctly, it means about 3.1% of all Americans in the 18 to 49 demographic were watching the show at the time, which is a pretty big deal for a TV show sitcom. Now, most of these nominations and awards won were in the outstanding comedy genre, as well as lead actors in TV sitcoms. Now, in terms of creativity, this show wasn't anything of a masterpiece, but the show revolved around smart people living their everyday lives, which I think was a big hit. However, the setup to the show and the setup of the production was overall very, very, very bland. As Mike McDaniel from the Houston Chronicle put it, there's a reason this concept is overworked. It succeeds more than it fails. Also, another note from Jonathan Storm from the Philadelphia Inquirer: it may not be a creative breakthrough, but it's a lot funnier than the universal equation would predict. Now let's talk about cost. The cost of this show in the beginning was probably a lot less. However, the only statistics I could find were the last couple of seasons. In particular, in the 2016 to 2017 season, each episode would cost around $10 million. Now, this wasn't because the sets or the locations were anything crazy. There wasn't like a big studio budget for production, but mainly just because the cast had acquired a very big paycheck by the last season. Roughly each cast member was being paid anywhere in the range of $900,000 to $1 million. By the way, that is per episode, not per season. The show would come out to be one of the most expensive shows for CBS to advertise on. For example, an average showtime slot for an advertisement would be in the range of $316,000. Now, I don't have the full statistical analysis in front of me here, but if you're spending $316,000 per advertising slot, you better have some good products, or at least you should be a key advertiser in the show. And the show did have many key advertisers. Just to name a few, there was Red Bull, Purell, Subway, and Milton Bradley. Although there were many, many other advertising companies that would advertise on The Big Bang Theory and many other shows on CBS. Now, growing up, I absolutely loved this show. The characters were funny, it was somewhat relatable, it was just a bunch of really smart people living everyday lives in their 9-to-5s as scientists, mathematicians, lab assistants, etc., etc. Was the show creatively anything special? No. But this show was immensely popular, and it did have a big influence. This show was a popular American sitcom while 3-camera setups were dying and on its way out, which, given the amount of views that it had and given the popularity of it at the time when it was live on air, that's pretty impressive. As you can see now in modern shows, we have 1-camera setups that allow for more narrative creativity, but this show did have good influence. People related to the characters. The show was funny, the characters were witty, it was written well, made by a very prominent production company, and it did great at the box office at the end of the day. But if there's one takeaway for this show, it's that it is the essence of the classic American sitcom with the 3-camera setup. It wasn't anything special, it wasn't anything brand new, and at the end of the day, looking back on it, it was just okay.